Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. Zombie. Nine Uncle's Disciple, starts with a bombardment of Shi Jian. Lin 17 crossed the zombie world and became a 2-year-old orphan. He was adopted by Jiushu, who had just come down the mountain, and became Jiushu's eldest disciple. At the same time, he awakened the Dao Zun system. Slaying demons and eliminating demons can earn merit, which can be condensed into a golden wheel of merit and can be used for lucky draws. The golden wheel of merit does not involve cause and effect in killing, and the 3 realms respect it. The lottery is all about supernatural powers. From then on, Lin 17 began the life of others practicing Taoism and his cultivation of immortality, all the way to the peak of recklessness. Ren Tingting, Ao Ningxuang, Yuchilua, Madana. Cultivating immortality alone is too miserable, and of course, beautiful women cannot be missing. But Zhong Kuei's sister. Judge Chui's daughter. What are you guys here to join in the fun? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Maoshan Forest 17. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the year of Kuei Hai, on the 12th day of the 7th lunar month. It's appropriate to get married. The moon is bright and a warm breeze is gentle. At the northern foot of Qinjia town, a mountain road only 2 meters wide winds straight up, connecting the burial forest behind Qinjia town. Over the years, all the deceased people in Qinjia town have been buried there. At the end of the 3rd quarter of an hour in the late night, the originally quiet Chen family town suddenly heard the joyful sound of Suona. Upon closer inspection, it was clear that it was the sound of marriage amidst 100 birds courting the phoenix. With the sound of the Suona, a group of townspeople wearing big red joyous cannons began to climb up the mountain road, carrying a strange-looking red sedan chair. At the front of the team, 2 young men dressed in top scorer robes, holding baskets, occasionally grabbing the dark paper from the baskets and sprinkling it into the sky. Between the two, the leader was a half-aged child who appeared to be only 17 or 18 years old. This person has a jade-like face, a straight posture, sword eyebrows and starry eyes. Although his face still has a youthful color, it gives people a feeling of heaviness like a mountain. His name is Lin 17, an orphan. 15 years ago, he suddenly came to this world and became a 2-year-old baby. His parents were intercepted by mountain bandits, and he was saved by a passing Maoshan Taoist and adopted as a disciple. As for his name, it was entirely because he had just traveled and the memories of a 2-year-old child were too chaotic, making him confused. That's why he followed his master's surname. The name was given because it was on the 17th day of the 1st lunar month, and his master chose it to commemorate his new birth. Regarding this, Lin 17 has no intention of resisting. Since he died in his previous life, even if it's over, he will be called Lin 17 in this life. And his master is the famous Maoshan Lin Fengjiao, also known as Lin Jiu, also known as Jiushu. That's right, it's the zombie Taoist. As the team continued to advance, the night around them strangely became darker and darker. By the time they reached halfway up the mountain, they were already out of sight, not to mention seeing the road. Even their companions who were less than an arm away could no longer see clearly. The warm breeze, which was originally as warm as jade, suddenly became icy and piercing. The 2 young people in front of them, who were responsible for throwing the underworld paper, felt that their hands were stained with 1,000 pounds of force, making it difficult to lift them up. Master Lin, what's wrong with this? A man who appeared to be in his 30s ran over with a frightened expression on his face, and layers of cold sweat oozed from his forehead. He spoke up and asked. Lin Shichi's already serious expression became even colder at this moment, showing a slight smile and nodding to the visitor. Mr. Chen, there's nothing wrong, it's just 2 little ghosts playing tricks. Keep moving forward. Mr. Chen looked at Lin Shichi's expression without any worries and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He hugged Lin Shiqi and said, "Then please ask Master Lin." After speaking, he waved his hand towards the back and loudly said, "Keep moving." The team advanced 100 meters again, and the surrounding air seemed to solidify into substance. The sedan chair being carried made a creaking sound. The 8 people responsible for carrying the sedan chair were still barely able to stand straight, but now they could only bend over and walk, with the sedan chair almost touching the ground. The others were also gasping for breath, and the villagers who had been watching the excitement behind them now showed frightened expressions, all wanting to turn around and leave. But what shocked them was that they found themselves unable to turn around, even losing control of their bodies. At this moment, Lin Shiqi, who was walking at the front, suddenly stopped his steps and quickly pinched 2 magic tricks with both hands. He shouted angrily, "I didn't intend to argue with you, but you insisted on seeking death. That's all. As you wish, the heavenly fire decree and the divine power of all directions will be executed." Boom! The words fell to the ground, with Lin 17 as the center, and the entire mountain road instantly turned into a sea of fire. Surprisingly, these flames looked extremely terrifying, but they were harmless to the surrounding flowers, trees, and pedestrians on the road. On the contrary, there were crackling explosions in the surrounding air, and at the same time, there were also screams that were extremely mournful. The strangest thing is that everyone could smell a scent similar to grilled meat. A few seconds later, the flames mysteriously disappeared, and everyone seemed to have been pulled out of the water, sweating profusely. However, the heavy sense of oppression and the icy chill just now disappeared without a trace. The moonlight falls again, the stars shine again, and even the wind becomes warm again. Lin Shiqi put down his hands and gently raised his arm, saying, "Keep going." At this moment, looking at the young figure ahead, the townspeople who had doubts suddenly felt an indescribable reverence for it, and they all agreed and quickly followed suit. Even those townspeople who want to leave while watching the excitement are no exception. It seems that as long as Lin 17 is in front, there will be no danger in this world. Mr. Chen, walking in the middle of the road, had even brighter eyes. He turned his head to look at the red sedan chair behind him, sighed heavily, and silently said, "Daughter, your fate is good. With Master Lin here, I hope you can be happy for a long time under the 9 springs in the future. In this way, Dad can also smile under the 9 springs in the future." The team marched for more than 300 meters again and finally stopped in front of a well-dug grave. Surprisingly, there was already a coffin inside this grave. Just by looking at its appearance, it had been buried for quite some time. Seeing the coffin, a middle-aged couple suddenly ran out of the queue and knelt in front of the grave, crying bitterly. Mr. Chen, feeling a sense of concern, walked over with a forced smile and patted the man's back. "Brother Su, today is a big day for Haoyang and Maoshan. We mourn and send blessings," he said. "Yes, today is my son's big day. I can't cry, I have to laugh, mother.in.law, get up, I can't embarrass my in-laws, let alone our son." After speaking, he looked at Lin 17 again and bowed heavily, saying, "Master Lin, please do everything." Lin Shiqi smiled lightly and nodded, "This is my responsibility, Mr. Su doesn't need to be like this." The following process of the underworld marriage was calm and ended in less than half an hour. After sending Mr. Chen and his companions back to town, Lin Shiqi declined their stay and took the reward before leaving the Chen family town. As the Zhongyuan era approached, there was still a lot of things to deal with above the Yizhuang, especially Uncle Jiu. As the director of the printing and printing department of the underworld, Lin Shiqi's face couldn't help but show a hint of sadness as he thought about the next steps. P.S. New book data is too important, especially for collection. If you like it, click on Collect. Flowers, review tickets, monthly tickets, tips. Request all data support. Chapter 2. Lan Guifang's concert. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since ancient times, people have believed that unborn babies have no soul, so abortion has been a frequent practice for a long time. These babies lost the opportunity to reincarnate due to their physical bodies being destroyed, and for these little elves, they are called spirit babies in the Taoist sect. But if a spirit baby is aborted multiple times, it will gradually start to develop evil thoughts towards humans and become a demon baby. Every demon baby is a disaster for the world, especially those 9th-generation demon babies, who are incredibly powerful. Even celestial masters at the level of refining gods and anti-emptiness can only be sealed and cannot be erased. July 13th, afternoon. Renjie Town, Yizhuang, in the back hall. Senior brother, look at these banknotes, each one looks like it was just printed, hee. Wen Kai held an iron and smoothed out a slightly wrinkled banknote, handing it to Qiusheng next to him. Qiusheng held a huge flower card with an indescribable smile on his face and said, "All right, hurry up, otherwise you won't be able to catch up with Lan Guifang's farewell concert." After speaking, he casually picked up the banknote handed over by Wen Kai and glanced at the flower card in front of him. "All right, that's enough, this one belongs to me." Wen Kai didn't care much and asked, "Senior brother, would Lan Guifang be moved by our true feelings when she saw our cards?" "Nonsense, it must have been a mess of emotion, after all, these are colorful banknotes." Qiusheng responded with a confident expression. Wen Kai breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Yes, after all, this is our savings for over a year." At this moment, there was a sudden sound of footsteps coming from the door, which frightened Qiusheng and Wen Kai. They quickly hid their flower cards behind their backs. The next moment, a man with a mustache walked in from outside, holding a flower card that was several times smaller in his hand. He walked straight to Qiusheng and Wen Kai and said, "Qiusheng, bring me my seal." Qiusheng handed the flower card to Wen Kai and said, "Oh, I'll go get it right away." After dismissing Qiusheng, Uncle Jiu boasted and placed the flower card in front of Wen Kai, raising his hand and saying, "Wen Kai, take a look. Is Master's flower card just right? Is it Baiyu Taifo or not?" If we were to switch to Qiusheng, it would definitely be a bunch of flattery passing by. "Master, to be honest, I'm not right at all," said Ku Wenchai, a foolish child with a conflicted expression on his face, and then he shook his head after speaking. Without giving Uncle Jiu any time to react, he directly raised the huge flower card hidden behind him and said, "This is just right." Qiusheng, who was holding the seal, almost spat out a mouthful of old blood and hurriedly ran over to block Uncle Jiu's sight, saying, "Hey! Hey!" Uncle Jiu was just looking straight ahead, how could he be interrupted by Qiusheng now? He directly pressed Qiusheng's shoulder and turned him aside. His eyes were fixed on the big flower card in front of him, and he took it with both hands. His face was filled with relief. "Wow, not bad, it's really on time." As he spoke, he placed the big card on the table, tilted his head and blinked his eyes, muttering to himself, "Two stinky kids, you want to suppress me. Hee." Continuing to return to normal, he turned around and said, "Qiusheng, tomorrow is July 14th. Today, you two are responsible for folding all these ingots before you can go to the concert. Do you hear me?" As soon as these words were spoken, Qiusheng and Wen Kai were instantly dumbfounded. Qiusheng's lips twitched and he said, "Isn't that right? We need to stack a whole basket of ingots. After stacking them, the sky will also light up, Master." Uncle Jiu glanced sideways and said, "Do you want to stack or not?" Qiusheng wanted to forcefully fight back, but he didn't have the courage. He nodded bitterly and said, "Fold." "Well, that's right." Uncle Jiu was satisfied and prepared to put the seal on top of his own flower card. However, just as the seal was about to touch the flower card, he suddenly moved his hand away and the seal slammed onto the large flower card. "Wow! Master!" Qiusheng was confused. Wen Kai ran to the side of the flower card with a face full of heartache and said, "It's over, it's all over now." Uncle Jiu, full of apologies, picked up the seal and said, "Oh my, it's the wrong one, but it doesn't matter. The size is all a gesture of goodwill. Oh, this little flower card has been given to you. After speaking, he didn't wait for the two of them to respond before quickly holding up a large flower card and walking towards the outside, sighing as he walked, "Wow, on time, really on time." Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai looked at each other, wanting to cry without tears. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared at the door, blocking Uncle Jiu, who wanted to go out. He frowned and said, "Master, who are you?" Looking at Lin 17 who suddenly appeared, Uncle Jiu rubbed the flower cards behind him and shook his head with a hint of guilt on his face. "It's 17, it's okay. Isn't it Lan Guifang's farewell concert tonight? We made 2 flower cards and prepared to give them to Lan Guifang tonight. That's it. I'll leave first." "No, senior brother. Master tricked us with a flower card, which cost us more than a year's savings." Wen Kai looked at Lin Shiqi naively and confessed. Qiusheng nodded and agreed, "Yes, senior brother. Besides that, Master also asked us to stack this basket of ingots before we can go to the concert. It's clear that he doesn't want us to go." Uncle Jiu blushed and glared at the 2 people beside him with a stern expression. He then took out the flower card and said with a stern expression, "Oh, my seal has already been stamped on the card. It's useless to give it back to them. At least I won't let them stack ingots. Hey, 17, you don't have to worry about this kind of thing. By the way, Mr. Chen has handled the matter on his side." Lin Shiqi's mouth twitched slightly. He had already become accustomed to this kind of argument between his master and 2 junior brothers in recent years, so he didn't want to say much. He nodded slightly and said, "I've already dealt with it." As soon as the words fell, Lin Shiqi suddenly thought of something, his eyes instantly becoming profound. Lan Guifang's concert. Looking up at the spirit babies on the tribute platform, isn't this the opening plot of Mr. New Zombie? After following Uncle Jiu for over a decade, are you finally going to get exposed to the plot of a movie? Taking advantage of Lin Shiqi's stunned moment, Uncle Jiu's eyes turned and he quietly moved his steps a few times before running out with a swoosh. "Shiqi, I'll leave the family matters to you. I'll go and occupy the position first." Lin 17. Are you here again? Research System. Chapter 3. Daozun System. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Lin 17 looked helplessly at Uncle Jiu who was running away, shook his head in tears and laughter, and turned to look at Qiusheng and Wen Kai. "Have you finished today's homework?" Well. Haha. Senior brother, look at the sun today. Yes, this kind of weather is most suitable for going out and sunbathing. Lin Shiqi pursed his lips and glared at the 2 angrily, "Hurry up and get out of here. After reading, don't forget to come back and stack the ingots. If you can't finish stacking them today, you don't need to sleep." "Thank you, senior brother. I love you, Mamuda." Qiusheng's eyes lit up and he quickly ran to Lin 17, holding his face and preparing to kiss him, but was kicked out by Lin 17. With the intention of learning Qiusheng's literature, Kai was startled and shuddered. He bypassed Lin Shiqi and rushed out, pulling Qiusheng up outside and running towards the front yard as if fleeing. Lin Shiqi was angry and laughed at by the 2 of them, but more importantly, he was helpless. Then he forgot about the matter and waved his hand, causing the incense placed on the table to ignite without fire before flying into the incense burner in front of the tribute platform. "Little ones, come out to eat." As the words fell to the ground, hundreds of spirit babies floated out of the entire tribute platform, happily surrounding Lin 17 and chattering. 17 brothers, you haven't come to see us for several days, we miss you so much. Yes, 17 brother is the best. Wen Kai and Qiusheng are so despicable that they even lied to us. That's right, they still owe us a basket of eggs. 17 brothers, you're going to make the decision for us. 17 brothers, why did you go out for so long this time? Did you encounter any trouble? Listening to the crisp voice in his ear, Lin Shiqi's mood improved a lot. He decided to sit on the ground and knock on the forehead of the group of little elves, saying, all right, there's no problem. Xiu Sheng and Wen Kai are deceiving you. All right, I'll deal with them when they come back. Now hurry up and eat, and then rest obediently. Do you know that? Brother 17 is also tired, can you let Brother 17 rest for a while? All right, Brother 17, let's rest and go play. 17 brothers, what do you need to tell us in the future? We are also very skilled. After calming down these lovely little ones, Lin Shiqi finally set his gaze on the top of the tribute platform, where 3 blindfolded gray babies were placed, which were the legendary demon babies. However, after years of transcendence by Uncle Jiu and Lin 17, their silent thoughts have been largely dispelled. However, once they are exposed to strangers, their previous achievements will be in vain. I don't know if you still have a chance to enter the Grand Marshal's mansion with my presence. After a moment of contemplation, Lin 17 alone lit incense sticks for the 3 of them before getting up and leaving the room. Host. Lin 17-inch Cultivation. Middle stage of refining Qi and transforming God, refining essence and transforming Qi, human teacher, refining Qi and transforming God, earth teacher, refining God and turning the void, celestial teacher, refining the void and combining the Tao, real person, cultivation. 3 cleansing Qiankuan technique, divine powers. Heavenly talisman, lightning thunder fist, 5 thunder correct technique, complete Taoist talisman, heavenly fire determination, soul control technique, merit. 3672/26939 number of lucky draws. 3 more than 10 minutes later, Lin 17 lay in bed, looking inexplicably at his attributes. At the age of 17, in the middle stage of refining Qi and transforming gods, it was rumored that he could definitely turn the entire sect upside down. After all, the 9th uncle, known as the genius of the Taoist sect, is only in the middle stage of refining Qi and transforming gods. Mao Xiaofang, the genius of the heavenly master Dao, is only in the later stage of refining Qi and transforming gods, and even the contemporary heavenly master Zhang Daoji of the Longhu Mountain Heavenly Master Mansion is only in the later stage of refining Qi and transforming gods. And they are all in their 40s and close to 50, and Uncle Jiu is even more in his 50s this year. Compared to Lin 17, who is only 17 years old, he is simply an outsider. But who made him a traveler? Who gave him the cheat gold finger? Other people can only rely on their qualifications, but Lin Shiqi has been cheating all the way, like a fart. Moreover, his golden finger is not the kind of system that releases missions and uses the host as a string puppet. As long as you slay demons and eliminate them, you can obtain merit. As long as you have merit, you can draw a prize, which includes everything in the entire sect, including pills, techniques, supernatural powers, magical tools, and so on. So Lin Shiqi gave his system a name, the Dao Zun system. After all, with this system, he will definitely become the supreme master of the Dao sect in the future, which can be considered mutually beneficial. Looking at the remaining 3 lottery draws, Lin 17 pondered for a moment and said, "System, let's draw 3 consecutive draws. The lottery is starting. The lottery is over. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Lin character formula of the 9-character true word, congratulations to the host for obtaining the Daomen golden light mantra, and congratulations to the host for obtaining the true Yuan Dan *1. Scratch." Lin Shiqi, who was originally calm, immediately sat up upon hearing the system's prize. Even after experiencing the cycle of life and death, he couldn't help but show an excited expression. The 9-character true word, although it only has 1 character, how could he, who is familiar with the laws of the sect, not know the power of this character? Lin, symbolizing the protection of the heavenly deity in the presence of an immortal family in the world, can slay demons, eliminate demons, seal spirits, and have infinite power. The Daomen Golden Light Mantra is not to mention, it embodies the essence of the Daomen Code and integrates attack and defense. Zhongyuan Dan, this is a pill he developed in his beginner gift package. It has no other effect, but it can instantly increase the user's mana cultivation by 30 years. Moreover, these cultivation levels are extremely pure, comparable to the 60 or even more years of hard work of most cultivators. The most important thing is that after taking this pill, there were no side effects and the cow batch was in a mess. Crouching slot. Can I be considered a character explosion this time? Lin 17 forcibly suppressed the restlessness in his heart and took a deep breath before saying, claim the reward for me, take the true yuan pill directly. Boom! As the words fell to the ground, a magnificent and unparalleled message poured into his sea of consciousness, transforming into golden runes, firmly imprinted in his sea of consciousness, until it became his instinct. At the same time, his cultivation also skyrocketed in an instant. In just a few breaths, he reached the peak of the mid-stage of Qi refining and God transformation, and without any obstacles, broke through the levels, officially allowing him to step into the late stage of Qi refining and God transformation, and continue to soar all the way. Chapter 4. Strength increases dramatically, from Zhongyuan Festival to. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Bang! 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 Master, are we going to print so many ghost coins this year? Yeah. Isn't that too much? It's at least 1/3 more than in previous years. Is the underworld already so wide now? Why are you two talking so much nonsense? Hurry up and let you watch the concert yesterday. I'll tell you, if you can't finish these things today, you two will be ruined. Lin Shiqi opened his eyes and listened to the sound coming from outside. A faint smile couldn't help but rise from the corner of his mouth. He turned over and sat up, first sensing his own situation. The Linzi Ju has already been understood, but it is only for beginners. If you want to integrate it, you will need him to use it more in the future. The golden light curse is not that troublesome, as long as its true elemental magic is sufficient, its defense and attack power can reach the maximum level. What surprised him the most was his own cultivation, which led him directly to the later stage of refining Qi and transforming God, and took a considerable step forward. In his perception, he was not far from the peak of the later stage. In a good mood, his mind twitched slightly, and a little black energy evaporated from his body, instantly refreshing his whole body. He picked up his toiletries from the washing table and walked out casually. Outside, Jiushu and Wenkai were cutting the paper used for the underworld banknotes, while Jiushu was practicing Tai Chi in the yard. To Lin 17's surprise, a man about the same age as Jiushu was sitting in the pavilion. This man Lin Shiqi has a certain impression, as if he is a cultivator from Gazao Mountain, and his cultivation has barely reached the early stage of refining Qi and transforming gods. Good morning, Master. Senior brother. Washing up. Jiushu and Wenkai saw Lin Shiqi and quickly greeted him with gratitude and a hint of flattery on their faces. Lin nodded at 17 o'clock and then said to Uncle 9, Master, good morning. When did Uncle Huang come? Uncle Jiu replied with a solemn expression, but his expression made Lin 17 laugh and cry. Good guy, this is an outsider, and even his disciple won't kiss him, right? You arrogant monster, can you stop doing this? Huang Daoren looked at Lin 17 with some surprise and said, Brother, is this little 17? Are they all so big? Uncle Jiu's face was filled with satisfaction and he said, Yes, time drives people to age. In the blink of an eye, it has been more than 10 years. The Yellow Emperor nodded happily and said, Yes, by the way, Brother Dao, I came here mainly because I heard that zombies appeared in Tingting Town in the south. It is said that the entire town has become a zombie town. Lin Shiqi's footsteps paused slightly, and then he paid no attention to the situation in Tingting Town. He was not very clear about it, and his only understanding was that in the original plot, when Zhongqiu Sheng and Wenkai pulled out a female zombie's tooth from inside. Of course, movies are movies after all. Over the past decade, Lin Shiqi has long been unable to see the world through the lens of watching movies. Moreover, zombies are very sensitive to popularity. For cultivators Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai, who have not left in the early stages of refining their essence and energy, even a casual black zombie can make them feel flustered. So, the plot in the movie can be seen as a joke. Uncle Jiu was taken aback for a moment, then continued to punch nonchalantly, really. Let's go over there in a few days and take a look. Huang Daoren also knew that Uncle Jiu, as the director of the money printing department in the underworld, was busy printing money for the underworld these days. Therefore, after receiving Uncle Jiu's reply, he stood up and said, "Since that's the case, I won't stay any longer. If Brother Dao wants to leave, remember to let me know so that I can have some help at that time." "Okay." Uncle Jiu responded and stood up to close his fist. "I'll see off Brother Dao, please." Taking advantage of the gap between Uncle Jiu's departure, Jiushu quickly ran to Lin Shiqi and said, "Senior brother, the amount of money printed in the underworld this year is 1/3 more than in previous years. Do you think?" "Master." Dong Lin Shiqi raised his hand in frustration and tapped Jiushu's head, saying, "What are you talking about? The amount of money printed in the underworld is given by the underworld every year, and Master completes the printing. Also, in the future, when you speak ill of Master behind his back, remember to carry it behind my back, otherwise. Double your homework." Ha! Watching Lin Shiqi turn around and leave, Jiushu was dumbfounded. Pushi behind him, Wen Kai couldn't help but laugh and pointed at Jiushu. "Ha ha ha, Jiushu, I told you a long time ago. Can you provoke the relationship between master and senior brother? Is it over now? Damn it. Are you still saying?" Jiushu pounced and rushed towards Wen Kai as noon approached. Jiushu and Wen Kai finished cutting all the paper from the underworld. After lunch, the master and disciple began a magnificent printing business. Just as evening approached, Wen Kai suddenly disappeared. Printing room. Jiushu picked up a printed money from the underworld and sighed, "Wow, 4,000 taels, it would be great if it were mine." Uncle Jiu, who was buried in his desk writing a letter leading to the underworld, looked up and sneered, "Do you want it? There are so many here, I've given them all to you, Jiushu was choked and then shamelessly ran to Uncle Jiu's side. "No, master. The amount of ghost paper cut this year has increased by 1/3, and now the face value has also increased from 1,000 taels to 4,000 taels. Should we do this? Shouldn't it be treated as counterfeit money by the underworld?" Dong before he could finish speaking, one hand fell on Jiushu's head, and then Lin 17's half-smiling voice reached his ear. "What nonsense! The underworld wouldn't be inflationary. Alright, I haven't seen Wen Kai since half an hour ago. Where did he go?" Watching Jiushu's attention diverted, Uncle Jiu breathed a sigh of relief and took the opportunity to quickly start writing. Jiushu rubbed the area where he was knocked and said, "Senior brother, can we change our methods next time? I'm almost fooled by your knocking. Do you think you're very smart?" Lin 17 sneered, "Hurry up and tell me, where's the literary talent?" He's going to take a seat." Jiushu didn't take it seriously and responded casually. Cluttering. Lin 17's heart trembled as he grabbed Jiushu's collar and said in a deep voice, take a place, take a place." Jiushu was startled by Lin Shiqi's actions and quickly said, "Today. Isn't there a play at the theater today?" He's afraid he'll be late and there's nowhere to go, so he went ahead and occupied some space. Lin 17. It is indeed a zombie supreme plot. Chapter 5. Powerful plot correction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Originally, Lin Shiqi thought that the plot of these movies would emerge one by one. But I never expected to come together. It was clearly the beginning of the new Mr. Zombie, but suddenly the Zombie Supreme appeared. Sure enough, movies have always been movies, and reality has always been reality. Next to him, Uncle Jiu was also startled by Qiusheng's words. He immediately put down his pen and frowned and snorted coldly, "What position does it occupy? Today's play is sung for ghosts, what is he going to do? Bastard!" Ha! Now Qiusheng couldn't hold his breath anymore. He and Wenkai really didn't know about this. Lin Shiqi took a deep breath and glanced at the printing hall, saying, "Master, all the money from the underworld has been printed. Could you please take the rest with you? I'll take Qiusheng over and bring back the literary talent. I hope there's still time." Uncle Jiu nodded and glared at Qiusheng again. "After we go, cooperate well with your senior brother. If anything goes wrong, let me deal with you guys." What else can Qiusheng say? What else dare you say? Trembling, he followed Lin Shiqi out of the room. At the same time, Rinjia Town Theater. Wenkai was holding a sugarcane in his hand, crunching it until it tasted delicious. However, the empty surrounding area made him somewhat puzzled. So, even though it was promised that there would be a big show today, why didn't anyone come? The actors on stage had already started rehearsing, but when they saw the literary talent standing there, several actors were immediately confused. One of the young actors wanted to remind Wenkai, but at this moment, a gust of wind suddenly blew in the theater. The actor who had been dealing with ghosts and monsters for years suddenly understood that this was the main character. Xiao Xing squinted at Wenkai, but Wenkai's intelligence. Well, he had no idea what this meant. Seeing this scene, Xiaoxing also gave up and could only give Wenkai a helpless and self-seeking look. Then, he walked into the backstage with a resounding drumbeat. At the entrance of the theater, Qiusheng lifted the door curtain and looked at the empty theater, frowning and saying, "Senior brother, have we made a big deal out of a molehill? Besides literary talent, there's nothing else in here." Lin Shiqi forcefully resisted the urge to beat up this guy and gritted his teeth, saying, "Starting from tomorrow, your and Wenkai's homework will triple. If you can't finish it, you don't even need to eat. Isn't it, senior brother?" Before he could finish speaking, Lin Shiqi directly raised his hand and tapped his forehead, then pressed his head into the door curtain. Looking at the ghost standing in the theater, Qiusheng suddenly took a cold breath and his body couldn't help but tremble. He struggled to pull his head out of it and looked at Lin Shiqi with a pale face. "Master. Senior brother, now. What should we do now?" Lin 17 sneered, "Do you know you're afraid now?" "Humph." As he spoke, he tied a red thread around Qiusheng's wrist and said, "Now go in and bring out the literary talent. Remember, this red thread must not be broken. Otherwise, even I cannot guarantee to save you two alive." Qiusheng nodded quickly and said, I know now, eh. Senior brother, you're so amazing, why don't you go in?" Lin 17 raised his hand again, but Qiusheng didn't give him a chance at all. He rushed into the theater, causing Lin 17 to feel extremely uncomfortable. He whispered, "Damn it, let's see how I'll deal with you when I go back." After speaking, he looked inside the theater and looked around. Fortunately, the female ghost Xiaoli was not there. He hoped that Qiusheng and Wenkai could move faster, although participating in the movie plot has always been the idea of Lin 17 in his past life. Lin 17, who has lived in this world for more than a decade, has long lost this idea. He has always adhered to the principle that more is better than less, especially when dealing with the underworld. He has no idea. As for the merits required by the system, that's not a problem anymore. There are so many demons and monsters in this world, many of which are even more ferocious than those in movies. I can't even kill them all. Who cares about one or two of them? Especially this kind of thing can cause endless trouble for oneself. Isn't it fragrant to directly kill those lonely soul monsters and zombies? But there is a saying that goes, heaven does not follow people's wishes. Before his thoughts could fully spread, several female ghosts leaned towards Wenkai. Even if Qiusheng had already grabbed Wenkai's hand, there would definitely be a little trouble in the future. What left Lin 17 most helpless was that the situation he least wanted to see still occurred. Just as the female ghosts approached Wen Kai and Qiu Sheng, a figure suddenly descended from the sky and landed steadily in front of them. With just one glance, she scared away all the female ghosts, and then she blew a breath towards Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai. The next moment, their gaze changed. Wow, when did so many people come? I'll just say, today's play is so exciting, how could no one watch it? Wen Kai was stunned for a moment, then his face showed a certain expression, even a little relieved. He was grateful for his wise move of occupying a position, right? Shouldn't it be? As for Qiusheng, his gaze was already drawn away by Xiaoli at this moment, his face full of pig brother looks. Oh. Are there ghosts around? What the hell is that? Don't you know if I have a senior brother? So. Beauty is still more important. Outside the theater, watching the performance of these two guys, Lin Shiqi felt very tired and wanted to go over, but he would definitely conflict with the ghost group. After all, his cultivation was there, and once he entered, the entire ghost group would riot. The ghosts who ran out would have nowhere to find them, and he even said he would have to die in the same group. Instead of that, it's better to let things follow the original plot, at least in the end, these ghosts can all go back. Thinking of this, Lin 17 completely gave up and suddenly pulled the red line. With a muffled sound, the red line snapped. Lin 17, who had received the red line, didn't even have the intention to linger and left the theater directly. Anyway, with Xiaoli protecting them, those two silly actors were not in danger of their lives. The rest. It's up to fate. Half an hour later, Yizhuang. Uncle Jiu looked at Lin 17 who had returned alone in shock and frowned. Why are you alone? Where are Qiusheng and Wen Kai? Lin Shiqi shrugged and said, I've been fascinated by ghosts. Master, something big is about to happen. Let's prepare early. These two bastards, how will I deal with them when they come back? Uncle Jiu's face sank and he turned around and walked quickly into the back hall. P.S. New book data, especially the first day data, is too important. Kneeling down for a wave of flowers, collecting, reviewing and monthly tickets, seeking comments and rewards. Chapter 6. Facing Ghost Disadvantages, Strong Lin 17. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Late at night, at the hour of high. Yizhuang. Senior brother, Xiaoli is really beautiful. Yeah, she's definitely the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Let's talk about it first. This time, let's have a fair competition and let Xiaoli choose for herself. If anyone sneaks around behind the scenes and does some small tricks, it's like thunder and lightning. Okay. Fair competition is fair. I'm relying on. Who is it? Lin Shiqi stood at the door with a smile on his face, not just a smile, as he looked at Qiusheng and Wen Kai who had been returning late. Although they had a smile on their faces, a layer of cold sweat rushed out from Qiusheng and Wen Kai's bodies, like a heavy mountain pressing down on them, almost preventing them from suffocating. In the end, Qiusheng was the first to regain consciousness, raised his hand to wipe the sweat off his forehead, and flattered, Master. Senior brother, so. Are you still up so late? Wen Kai nodded non-stop beside him and said, Senior brother, is there anything we need to do? I promise we can handle it for you properly. Humph. Lin Shiqi turned around coldly and walked towards the main hall with his hands on his back. Looking at Lin Shiqi's back, Qiu Shengguan and Kai looked at each other, but in the end, they didn't dare to run back to their own room and followed with their heads down. In the main hall, Lin 17 sat boldly in his seat, while Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai stood trembling in the middle aisle. Especially Wen Kai, whose bodies were trembling and swallowing saliva, couldn't withstand the pressure emanating from Lin 17's body. In theory, Lin 17 is just a senior brother, but for Qiusheng Wenkai, they are afraid of Lin 17 and even better than Uncle 9. After all, Uncle 9 says that beating them is mostly a matter of face, so it is important to take them lightly. Lin 17 is different, that guy, it's really a fight, and the fight hurts, but it won't hurt the two of them. That taste. It's simply amazing. After a full cup of tea, Lin 17 sighed and said, enough of playing. Let go of the ghost troop and the ghost group. Ha, you two have great abilities. You two have done things that neither my master nor I dare to do. I see that in the future, you should not call me senior brother, let alone master. Who are you? That's a big shot who dares to let go of the ghost troop and the ghost group. This small temple in the Yizhuang cannot hold you two great gods, so. Bang! Bang! Before Lin Shiqi could finish speaking, Qiusheng and Wenkai knelt down, sweating on their foreheads and their faces filled with fear. Wenkai even kowtowed a few times towards Lin Shiqi, saying, Senior brother, don't do this, we're wrong. Qiusheng nodded repeatedly and said, yes, senior brother. We have been captivated by ghosts this time, really. We guarantee that there will never be another time. Please give us another chance, senior brother. Humph. Lin Shiqi rubbed himself up and walked straight to the two of them, saying coldly, wrong. Did I see that you were happy just now, Xiaoli? Beautiful. Fair competition. Is this a sign of knowing that you were wrong? Hee, that's all. I've said it many times in the years before. Do you know how much trouble you've caused us by bringing down Guichai this time? Do you know that Master wants to face the underworld and hold you accountable? You want to offset your mistake with just one sentence, where did you get such a big face? Boom! With these words, Qiusheng and Wenkai's faces instantly turned pale, sweat dripped from their heads onto the floor, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. However, Lin 17 had no intention of making the two of them stand up. At other times, they didn't care, but this time. Lin 17 really got angry. Most importantly, this is the best time to deepen the lesson for both of them. How could he have missed it? At this moment, a gust of wind suddenly blew in from outside the door. In the next moment, a black hole appeared on the ground in front of Qiusheng and Wenkai in all directions. Following closely, 4 guys wearing ghost costumes rushed out from below, with 4 pairs of eyes staring straight at Lin 17. Seeing the ghost, Qiusheng and Wenkai suddenly understood that what Lin Shiqi had just said was true. All the luck in their eyes disappeared without a trace, leaving only endless despair and regret. Lin Shiqi's eyes flickered, but he didn't speak. Instead, he turned straight back to his seat and said, I already know everything, no. You just need to find these 2 bastards for what they have done. As soon as these words were spoken, panic and longing for life appeared in the eyes of Qiusheng and Wenkai. The 4 ghost guards looked at each other, and then the black-clothed ghost guard in front of them took a step forward and muttered a lot of nonsense to Lin Shiqi. Lin Shiqi frowned and said, it's impossible. At most, we'll just hand over these 2 bastards to you. You can go find those ghosts yourself. Besides, as ghost messengers, you even let a ghost king infiltrate the group. This responsibility, even if it goes to the Senluo Hall, is also your fault. If it weren't for them being my junior brothers, do you think you have the right to stand in front of me and negotiate with me? Boom! The words fell to the ground, and Lin 17's breath erupted with a loud bang. The thunderous light filled his whole body, like a thunder god. Now, either you accept my conditions, and we will catch the ghost group for you. From then on, we will be lenient and continue to be your ghost messengers. We will continue to slay demons and eliminate them, or we will go to the Senluo Hall and let the judge understand. The 4 ghosts clearly didn't expect Lin 17 to be so dominant. They wanted to refute, but found themselves unable to argue, so they all stared at Lin 17 with unbearable frustration. The 2 sides were in a standoff for nearly a quarter of an hour, and the black-clothed ghost almost nodded in frustration. He muttered a lot of nonsense again, and then called on the other 3 ghosts to disappear in place. After seeing off the ghost, Lin 17 breathed a sigh of relief and snorted coldly at Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai again. What are you still kneeling for? Get out of here and kneel in front of Master's door until dawn. Although Lin Shiqi's words were heavy, Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai's eyes lit up and they quickly ran towards the outside. Before they could leave, Lin Shiqi's voice suddenly came over. Stop, before leaving, shout out that little Li to me. Don't tell me you don't know how to call her. Jie Qiusheng and Wen Kai stopped at the door with a shudder, staring blankly as they turned to look at Lin Shiqi. Chapter 7. Order for Convening Fellow Disciples. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Black and white matching, boys and girls matching. In the main hall of Yizhuang, as Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai shouted the slogan of childishness and made 2 extreme moves, a figure with long black hair suddenly jumped out from between the 2. Ah, just as we parted ways, you guys called me. What's up? Looking at Xiaoli with a happy face, Qiusheng kept blinking at her, wanting to remind her. But his movements were very unnecessary, which made Xiaoli's mind full of confusion. What's wrong with you? Are you sick with your eyes? But I don't know the doctor, it's so difficult. Difficult to handle. Suddenly, a playful voice came over. Little Li nodded without realizing it was wrong and said, yes, it's really difficult to do. Then there's no need to do it. Lin Shiqi twitched his lips and stepped into the middle of the 3, glaring at Qiu Shengguan. What are you 2 still doing? Get off your knees at Master's place. Master won't speak, so you don't have to sleep today. Whoosh! Before the words could be finished, Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai fled from the main hall and disappeared into the darkness. Humph. Lin Shiqi snorted coldly, turned around and prepared to settle accounts with Xiaoli. However, as he turned around, he took several steps back and forth, frowning uncontrollably. He looked at Xiaoli in front of him and said, What are you doing? Xiaoli's face was full of foolishness, with little stars almost popping out of her eyes. She couldn't help but swallow her saliva before realizing, so handsome, so domineering, so fond. Lin Shiqi's head was covered in black lines and said, Dot. At this moment, Xiaoli also realized something and quickly coughed twice, trying to make herself normal, but the flower maniac in her eyes couldn't hide it. Well. Hello, my name is Xiaoli, and you? Dot. Lin Shiqi twitched his lips and turned to the nearby chair to sit down. He said in a deep voice, Tell me, you seduced my 2 junior brothers this time, let down the ghost trap, let go of the group of ghosts, and caused us such a big trouble. What are you going to do? Xiaoli blinked her eyes and said, Is it so serious? Just catch those ghosts again, won't you? Lin 17 took a deep breath, and he could see that Xiaoli's brain circuit was particularly abnormal. He had this feeling when he watched a movie in his past life, but it was only now that he truly experienced the helplessness of Uncle Nine in the movie. Forget it, you go ahead. Let's just pretend that today's incident never happened, and don't show up in front of me in the future, otherwise I'll take you. So domineering. But he's so handsome. He likes it so much. Omega, Lin Shiqi was startled by Xiaoli's reaction and flew out of the main hall, heading straight to the bedroom. If he stayed with Xiaoli like this again, he suspected that he might become insane. Xiaoli looked curiously at the direction Lin Shiqi was leaving and touched her face, saying, Am I really scared now? But. He's really amazing. So shy. The next day, in the morning. You 2 bastards, if you don't kill me today, I won't be your master. Stop me. Master, we know we're wrong. Our senior brother already dealt with us yesterday, so please spare us this time. That's right, master. We promise there won't be another time, master. Without exception, Lin 17 was once again awakened by the noise coming from outside. However, the first thing he did when he opened his eyes today was to check his body and confirm that he had not been taken advantage of by that foolish female ghost. He then breathed a sigh of relief and stood up to wash up. In the yard, Uncle Jiu held a bamboo stick in his hand and chased after Qiusheng and Wenchai, beating them up and causing the entire charity village to be chaotic. But as Lin Shiqi watched this scene, he didn't pay any attention. After all, this kind of thing had happened countless times in the past decade, and what made him most helpless was that every time this kind of thing happened, it was Uncle Jiu and Qiu Shengguan who played him. By now, he had become numb. A few minutes later, Lin Shiqi finished washing up. Uncle Jiu snorted coldly, threw down the bamboo stick, and spoke in a deep voice to the two silly disciples, "Get over and do your homework. Today's homework doubles. If you can't finish it, I'll see how I'll deal with you guys. Go." Qiu Shengguan looked at each other and quickly disappeared. Uncle Jiu kept staring at them all the time, making sure they had entered the study room. Then, feeling a little guilty, he walked towards Lin 17 and said seriously, 17, now the ghosts are running away, relying solely on us too. It's not very realistic to catch them all, so I'm planning to gather my fellow disciples and set up a congenital gossip formation together. What do you think?" Lin Shiqi put away his toiletries and looked at Uncle Jiu helplessly. "Master, you always do this. When will the two of them regain their memory? Today they dare to let go of the ghost trap, and next time God knows what trouble they will cause." Upon hearing these words, Uncle Jiu's face instantly turned red and he said, "I." Before Uncle Jiu could speak, Lin 17 shook his head and said, "Forget it, you're a master. If something happens, you'll be there to take care of it. Gather your fellow disciples. Sure, the innate gossip formation is also possible. Let's do it this way. I'll go back and do my homework first." Uncle Jiu. What? It wasn't until Lin Shiqi returned to his room that Uncle Jiu slapped his forehead and frowned, saying, "Stinky kid, you were raised by me. Now you dare to show your face to me. It's really. But Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai, these two bastards, really need to be cleaned up. How about really beat them up?" At this point, Uncle Jiu quickly shook his head and said, "Forget it. They knelt all night today, should they have a long memory? They must have a long memory. It's more important to gather fellow disciples first." As the words fell to the ground, he shouted directly at Qiusheng Wenchai in the room, "Qiusheng, Wenchai, prepare for some trouble. Master, I want to issue a fellow disciple summoning order." "Ah, here comes Master." Upon hearing the commotion outside, Lin Shiqi pursed his lips, and it was indeed like this again. However, isn't that what he wants? If Uncle Jiu were really rigid, serious, and deeply dogmatic, he probably would have chosen to graduate long ago, instead of staying in the village like he is now. Shaking his head and throwing these thoughts out of his mind, he sat cross-legged on the bed with deep eyes and murmured softly, "Shi Jian, I hope you won't be as unkind as before this time. If not. P.S. Did anyone watch it? If someone is watching, remember to vote for flowers, review tickets, monthly tickets, tips, comments, and bookmarks. If the data is good, make sure to watch it every day." Chapter 8. Colleagues and Conflicts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today is July 15th, at the center of the full moon. Today, all ghosts who have washed away their sins in the underworld will wander in the mortal world until they are brought back to the underworld by ghost messengers at midnight. So, today's Rinjia town appears particularly desolate. No, to be precise, it is the same situation on the entire land of Yan and Huang. Although commoners have nothing to do, as long as they stay at home, at most they can place some tribute to prevent their elders from not being able to eat when they come to visit. For practitioners, especially those who have registered in the underworld, today is the busiest day. Although Jiushu is only the director of the money printing department, he is also very busy today. He is so busy that he doesn't touch the ground. After issuing the order to summon his fellow disciples, he leads Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai to inspect the entire Rinjia town to prevent any mistakes. After all the ghosts who came to Rinjia town last night have fled. God knows what they will do. If someone dies, even if it's just an injury, he, as the director of the money printing department, will have to take care of himself, even with the protection of the Maoshan ancestors. Although the likelihood of such a situation occurring is very low. In the evening, Yizhuang, Jiushu, who had been busy all day, walked into the door with Qiusheng and the other two exhausted. However, when they pushed the door open, they suddenly felt a tremendous pressure rushing towards the face door. In the courtyard, more than a dozen middle-aged Taoist priests wearing Taoist robes sat on both sides, with young Maoshan disciples staring straight ahead without looking at them. Those who didn't know thought they were attending some amazing event. In the middle of these Taoist figures, Lin Shiqi sat there with a solemn expression, his fingers lightly tapping on the table, and each tapping sound hammered into their hearts like a heavy hammer. Seeing Uncle Jiu coming over, this group of Taoists immediately seemed to have seen their loved ones and stood up to greet Uncle Jiu. "Senior Brother Lin, you're back, Brother Lin, thank you for your hard work. Didn't anything happen in the town today? Senior Brother Lin, I haven't seen you for many years, but you still have the same charm. You're amazing. Senior Brother Lin." Uncle Jiu inexplicably responded to these fellow disciples, taking nearly 3 minutes to pass through the crowd and come to Lin 17. He whispered, "17, what's going on?" Lin Shiqi looked at the Taoist priests without hesitation and said, "It's nothing, it's just that these senior uncles have a little bit of complaints. What can I do? I can only explain a little bit of reason to them, Noah, it's like this now." As soon as this was said, more than a dozen Taoists began to raise their mouths and secretly roast. "Are you being reasonable? You are using force to suppress people." However, they never expected that Lin 17, the eldest disciple of Uncle 9, who was only 17 years old, would have the cultivation of refining qi and transforming gods in the later stage, which shocked them, but at the same time, it was more frightening. According to the rules of Maoshan since ancient times, the position of the leader has always been held by those who are capable and virtuous. Although the cultivation of the eldest senior brother Shi Jian is indeed stronger than that of the ninth uncle, he is too strong and powerful. Moreover, in recent years, Shi Jian's body has developed evil energy, coupled with his immature disciple Shi Shaojian. If nothing unexpected happens, the probability of Jiushu inheriting the leader of Maoshan in the future exceeds 90%. Once Jiushu becomes the leader, the position of Lin 17, the chief disciple, will soar. Even these martial uncles will have to act according to their looks. This is also the main reason why they did not resist. They are still like this, and one can imagine the virtues of their disciples, almost treating Lin Shiqi as an idol. Uncle Jiu's mouth twitched slightly, and he quietly gestured towards Lin Shiqi before sitting in his seat. He spoke awkwardly, "Junior brothers, I'm sorry to have asked you to come over amidst your busy schedule. This incident is too big for me to handle alone. If there is anything that was not well received, please forgive me, junior brothers." Senior brother Lin was joking. "We are all classmates, so there's no need to be so polite. It should be like this. Senior brother is in trouble, and we, as junior brothers, naturally cannot shirk our duty. Senior brother, please be frank. If there's anything, why would we just stand idly by?" A group of Taoists expressed their opinions one after another, and their attitude also greatly benefited Jiushu. Even though he had tried his best to suppress it, the unstoppable curve at the corner of his mouth still betrayed his inner self. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from the entrance of Yizhuang. "Humph, why are you all so enthusiastic today? Has the leader arrived?" Wow! As soon as these words were spoken, the air in the entire Yizhuang instantly froze, and the people in the yard turned their gaze directly to the door. At the entrance, formidable-aged Taoist priests and 6 young people crossed the threshold and walked in, but their faces were full of arrogance. Even when they looked at Uncle Jiu, they did not show any respect to this senior brother. Uncle Jiu's face instantly darkened, but he still stood up and said, "It turns out that junior brother Mu has arrived. Please take your seat." "Humph, senior brother Lin, before senior brother arrived, senior brother sat on the main seat. Isn't that a bit excessive? Have you still taken senior brother seriously?" As the words fell to the ground, Uncle Jiu stood up and laughed angrily. "What junior brother Mu said is that this position should belong to senior brother, but as the host, is there any problem with me sitting here?" Mu Daoren remained noncommittal and said, "Of course it's not a problem, but I would think that senior brother you don't have the way to treat guests. Besides, it seems that senior brother Lin has caused trouble on your side this time. Let me wait for junior brother to come and help, right? But senior brother, do you have the sincerity to ask for help like this? Since that's the case, I think it's better not to come to this fellow disciple gathering." Boom! Just as Mu Daoren finished speaking, his body flew out uncontrollably. The next moment, everyone saw Lin 17 standing next to Uncle Jiu and leaving the spot. At this moment, he was stepping on Mu Daoren's heart and looking down at him from a high position. Especially at this moment, Lin Shichi's whole body was shining with lightning, and his momentum was rising, like a furious tiger king staring at his prey. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Uncle Jiu even twitched his lips and said, 17. Lin Shichi exhaled his turbid breath and suppressed his murderous intent in his heart, coldly saying, "Next time, I'll just kill you. Get over and sit down." Chapter 9. Shi Jian, tearing his face. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Having learned from the previous experiences of the wooden Taoist, the 3 Taoist priests who followed him could only forcefully suppress their inner grievances and unwillingness. They obediently followed the wooden Taoist to the chairs on both sides and sat down. However, judging from their expressions, it is obvious that they are holding back some big moves. The other Maoshan colleagues looked at each other in confusion, not knowing what to say for a moment. After all, the conflict between the senior brother Shi Jian and the 9th uncle had a long history, and the 2 sides had not fought once or twice before. These neutral people, besides watching, could do nothing else. Of course, this means that the 4-eyed Taoist priest and 1,000-craned Taoist priest are not here, otherwise today there would be another battle of the same sect. Lin Shichi ignored these things. The only support for these people was Shi Jian. 2 years ago, his cultivation was only in the early stage of refining qi and transforming gods. He had just broken through, and the gap between him and Shi Jian was too big, so he could only endure it. But today, if Shi Jian dared to act recklessly, he would dare to tear off all of Shi Jian's loneliness and arrogance. Everyone is in the late stage of refining qi and transforming into a god, but Shi Jian only has one lightning Benlei fist. However, he has various divine powers that are systematically rewarded, and the outcome has already been predetermined. No matter how patient he is, it is not his personality at all. With a cold snort, Lin 17 walked straight to Uncle 9 and whispered, "Master, we've almost arrived. It's already late now, and waiting any longer is meaningless. Why don't we just do this?" Uncle Jiu glanced coldly at the Taoist Mu and his companions, nodding his head without hesitation. "Okay, then let's start. Lin senior brother." As soon as Uncle Jiu finished speaking, a Taoist beside Mu Daoren stood up. He first looked at Lin 17 with a guilty expression, and then said stiffly, "Lin senior brother, the eldest senior brother is already on his way here. Starting now, wouldn't it be too good?" Uncle Jiu's eyes flickered and he nodded, "Then wait a little longer." The Taoist received the answer and breathed a sigh of relief. He quickly clenched his fists at Uncle Jiu and sat down quickly, without looking at Lin Shichi's eyes. At this moment, the restless genes in the bodies of Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai, who were standing behind Lin 17, became chaotic again, and surprisingly, they just lowered their heads and muttered to each other. This master is really making so many people wait for him. Who does he think he is? That's too much. Uncle Jiu twitched his lips, wishing he could turn around and slap these two guys. He remembered that he would feel sorry for them this morning, and Uncle Jiu wished he could give him a big pussy. Lin 17 gave Uncle 9 a meaningful look, then suddenly turned around and raised his hand to give Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai a hard tap on their heads. He said in a deep voice, "If you two can't stand, just roll in and kneel, or else be honest with me." Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai were momentarily confused, and their faces turned extremely pale. Surprisingly, after scolding the two of them, Lin 17 continued, "Even if Master Uncle is not good at all, just speak privately. In front of so many Master Uncles, what do you want them to do?" Ha! Qiu Shengwen was foolish. Uncle Jiu was stunned, and all the Maoshan comrades were also stunned. They stared at Lin Shiqi one by one, their mouths twitching. They wanted to say something, but didn't know how to say it. As for the four wooden Taoist priests surrounded by Shi Jian, their faces turned red one by one. If it weren't for knowing that they couldn't beat Lin 17, they would have gone up and started working long ago. At this moment, footsteps finally came from the doorway, and the next moment, Shi Jian walked in with Shi Shaojian from outside. Seeing Shi Jian, regardless of whether they were happy or not, everyone stood up, even Uncle 9 was no exception. They all clasped their fists and saluted Shi Jian, saying, "Senior brother." Shi Jian scanned the people around him with a gloomy expression, nodded arrogantly, and then sat down in the position where Uncle Jiu had just been. He said, "All right, let's come over today." What exactly happened? Uncle Jiu took a deep breath and then recounted yesterday's incident, continuing, "Today I have invited all my senior brothers to help me catch all those ghosts and return them to the ghost guards." Although everyone knew that something really big had happened when Uncle Jiu called them over, they didn't expect the situation to be so big. They all gasped for breath and were shocked to see Uncle Jiu, especially Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai behind him. They couldn't figure it out. These two were only guys in the early stages of refining and transforming qi. Where did they have such courage? There was a hint of schadenfreude in Shi Jian's eyes, but it flashed away before he said, "Lin Fengjiao, our master has taught us since childhood to do our own things. Since this incident was caused by your disciple, you can just watch and solve it yourself. What do you want me to do?" "That's right, there's not enough success, there's more failure. Master Lin, why did you just take in two such foolish disciples?" Shi Shaojian, who was following behind Shi Jian, sneered. Uncle Jiu was choked by this father and son, and his face turned red. Just as he was about to say something, Lin 17 suddenly placed his hand on his shoulder and took a step forward, standing in front of Uncle Jiu, facing Shi Jian with a smile on his face. "Master, when you speak, we naturally have nothing to say, but what is he? Even if my master accepts disciples who are stupid, it's still my master's business. It's up to him to guide us." "You." Shi Shaojian's face darkened as he glared angrily at Lin 17. But Lin Shiqi didn't give him a chance to speak and continued, "This time it's true that my two junior brothers don't understand, but since the trouble has already come out, we definitely need to solve it. If Master feels that we have delayed your time, well, the gate is right there, so it's easy to leave without seeing him off. If Master still remembers his fellow disciples, then please use the spirit of Maoshan senior brother to help my master alleviate the disaster." Shi Jian laughed angrily and said, "What a sharp-tongued Lin 17. But in the same way, I'll give it to you as well. What kind of thing are you? Dare to point fingers in front of me?" Lin Shiqi smiled and then suddenly released his own breath. His wrist trembled lightly, and the lightning of his round and layered thunderbolt fist flickered, soaring straight into the clouds. Within the vast Zhuang, there were dense thunderstorms. "Based on my current cultivation level, I am not inferior to you, Grand Master, and I have even surpassed you. How about that?" What advice does Grand Master have? P.S. Seeking flowers, collecting, evaluating tickets, monthly tickets, commenting. Today is 10 o'clock. Make the comments section lively. Wow, just a squeak is okay. Chapter 10. Shi Jian conquers soft and Lin, stares at by a female ghost. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. As Lin Shiqi revealed his cultivation, the vast village once again became a place where needles could be heard. Even Uncle Jiu was shocked at this moment. He knew that his disciple had great abilities and had broken through the realm of refining qi and transforming gods at the age of only 14. However, he never expected that in just 3 years, this disciple would give him such a big surprise. In the later stage of refining qi and transforming spirit, the most crucial thing is that Lin 17 is only 17 years old this year, and it will take 3 months to reach 18 years old. Without any accidents, Lin 17 will steadily enter the path of refining deficiency and merging in the future. That's the Lianshu Hadao. Since the end of the Dharma era more than 300 years ago, Maoshan. No, there have been no powerful beings in the entire Yan Huang Dao sect for nearly 200 years. Is it true that Maoshan is about to rise? What Uncle Jiu can think of, others can also think of it, so those neutral people's eyes turned hot as they looked at Uncle Jiu. If it weren't for the situation being wrong, they would have started showing loyalty long ago. After all, as long as Lin 17 was present, the leader of Maoshan was definitely in Uncle Jiu's bag. Even if he doesn't become the leader, his status will still surpass others. What is this, second senior brother? He is completely thick and can't be any thicker. If he doesn't embrace him now, when will he be? As for offending Lin 17. Don't make a fuss. Although the sect respects teachers and values the way, it also depends on the situation. Lin 17's merit and golden light are almost shining blind. With such a high cultivation, even if Shi Jian offended him first, the elders and ancestors of Maoshan cannot give up Lin 17 for Shi Jian's sake. This is Lin 17's greatest capital. But the wooden Taoist disciples of Shi Jian's lineage looked at Lin 17 with grey faces, trembling all over, and full of shock. They wanted to say something, but didn't know how to speak. As for Shi Jian, who was at the center of the storm, his face was constantly changing. He also thought of all the possibilities of Lin Shiqi's existence, and jealousy was rampant in his heart. However, he was not blinded by jealousy. Instead, he suddenly laughed and got up, walked to the side seat, and sat down. Dao said, "Junior brother, today you are the host, and it would be more appropriate for you to sit here. Junior brother, you have really taken in a good disciple." Seeing that Shi Jian was subdued, Lin 17 finally regained his full breath and walked straight to the back of Uncle Nine. As for whether Uncle Nine would sit in the upright position, it was not his concern. It was not until then that Uncle Jiu regained his senses from shock. He looked at Lin 17 with a complex expression and then laughed heartily, feeling relieved. He sat in his seat with a golden sword and nodded at Shi Jian, saying, "Senior brother, you're ridiculous. 17 is still young, and there are still many things that need your help to teach." Shi Jian's mouth twitched slightly, not making a comment. "Alright, let's talk about these idle words later. Since junior brother has called us over, we must have some ideas. I don't know what junior brother is going to do." Uncle Jiu didn't hesitate to say, "I'm planning to use the innate Bagua formation. First, let someone introduce the ghost group into the formation, and then we'll take all those ghosts away." "Oh. I don't know who junior brother is planning to lure ghosts." Shi Jian narrowed his eyes slightly and looked straight at Lin 17. Uncle Jiu was stunned for a moment, this question. He really didn't consider it. At this moment, Lin Shiqi suddenly threw Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai out and said in a deep voice, "The matter was caused by the two of them. Of course, they will also lead the ghosts out." As for master and master, you should first set up the innate gossip formation outside the Yizhuang and wait for the ghosts to arrive. What does master think? Ah. Are we too going to lure ghosts? Jiushu suddenly looked up and stared at Lin Shiqi in amazement. Wen Kai was almost not scared to death by Lin Shiqi's words. He can even be scared to death when he sees ghosts. Now, if he goes to lure ghosts, it's still a group of ghosts. Is this going to make him die? Lin Shiqi's gaze was cold and he snorted softly, "What's wrong? Do you have any objections?" Feeling the anger that Lin Shiqi was about to erupt, Jiushu quickly shook his head and said, No problem." Wen Kai wanted to say something more, but Jiushu covered his mouth. He could see that if they continued to argue, they would not really be expelled from the school. After the task was arranged, Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai pushed out the stinky tofu cart that had been prepared for a long time, and Uncle Jiu greeted Shi Jian and them to the open space outside the Yizhuang village to set up a congenital gossip array. As he was about to leave, Shi Jian inexplicably glanced at Lin Shiqi. However, Lin Shiqi did not express anything about this, but looked straight at Shi Jian, not knowing if with his presence now, this bastard would still be killed by Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai like in the original plot. If Lin 17 didn't want to provoke ghosts and trouble, then now he really hopes that Shi Jian can continue to die. After all, Shi Jian is definitely not willing to give up easily. He doesn't care, but Jiushu and Qiu Wen Kai can definitely not escape Shi Jian's conspiracy. Even without these, Shi Jian's existence is still an unstable factor. Since his current strength is sufficient, it is better to eliminate him as soon as possible. But just as Uncle Jiu and the others left the Yizhuang, Xiaoli's figure suddenly appeared next to Lin Shiqi, looking at him with red eyes and heart. Xianggong, the coquettish voice made Lin Shiqi's goosebumps rise all over his body. He rubbed back several steps and frowned, saying, "What kind of husband? Don't shout around." Also, Qiu Sheng and Wen Kai, two idiots, have already gone to seduce ghosts. Don't you, the culprit, plan to go over and help? Xiaoli pouted, full of resentment, and said, "But they really want to see you." Before she could finish speaking, Xiaoli saw that Lin Shiqi's face had darkened and she quickly disappeared to the spot. All right, they just need to help, but they won't give up. Goodbye, my husband. Lin 17. What kind of thing is all this? Although Maoshan has never had a clear rule prohibiting ghost raising, and there is even a ghost raising lineage in Maoshan. Xiaoli is indeed pretty enough, but he really didn't think about finding a female ghost as his wife in the future. Ning Kaichen and so on are better off. Compared to female ghosts, he still prefers warm and weak living women, right?